Hi, this is Travis. Welcome to Modern Homemakers. Today, we're going to talk about how we built this kitchen island. So, we've lived in this house for about 8 months. When we first moved in here, this kitchen looked completely different. I mean, it's like night and day, the transformation, if you can see what it looked like versus what it looks like now. Some of it's still a work in progress, as you can see over here. We're still working on a few things, but one of the first things we noticed when we moved in is that we needed an island. It was just essential for my wife to be able to do work, for doing cooking, for having company over. It's just a great place to hang out. So we looked at some different options. We considered buying one, and the islands we looked at were around $2,000 to $3,000. We realized that if we built it ourselves, we could save a crap load of money. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that I am not a handyman, okay? None of this comes naturally to me. So this was very much a learn as you go, do-it-yourself project. So hopefully this encourages you if you are like me and you're not a handyman, you're not a handy woman, just if you can let go of your fears and just dive right in, it's gonna be okay. So when we first started this project, we were of course looking at a lot of YouTube videos on how to build your own island. One of the things that we learned is that most states have a code where you either have to have like an electrical outlet in your island, or it has to be on wheels. So we didn't want to bother with the electrical side of things, so we decided we would put it on wheels. So that was a whole new set of challenges that we had to overcome in the process. So let's check it out and I'll show you what this baby's made of. So first of all, the top of the island is our old kitchen table from our previous house. This table is 60 inches wide by 35.5 inches deep, long, whatever the measurement is. We will put a link in the description to a similar piece of wood that's about $60 that you can trim down to about this size, or exactly the size that you need for these cabinets.
Yeah, it's like a pressed MDF wood, so sturdy and cheap.
We bought these 3 cabinets at Lowe's. We will include a link in the description to these exact cabinets if you choose to get these, but I'll show you some of the storage we have. So we keep Tupperware in there, a bunch of miscellaneous items in here, and this is where we keep a trash can. And then we've got drawers for different items. There's a bit of a lip around the edge, and then there's room on this side for...
So like an inch in front, a couple inches on the side.
And then there's room back here for a bar stool. So there's a perfect amount of space to sit here at the island, eat breakfast, have a cup of coffee, whatever. It's very cozy. So without further ado, let's show you the process of how this baby came together.
I look crazy, but what doesn't look crazy, I described this, but I thought you guys might want to see. So we have everything set how it's going to be. These are 3 separate cabinets. This is our old tabletop. And then it's going to be on wheels, which is what we're figuring out. I didn't like that I had to put it on wheels, but apparently there's some code in like almost every state. And then I have these things, which will hold up the side here. So we can have, I might even be able to get all 4 of the bar stools. I don't know. I think I'll be able to get at least 3 of them here. So we're very excited. But we are gonna start cutting some boards. So this is the bottom of the cabinet, and if you see these pencil lines, we went up an inch from the bottom and we measured the width of our 2x4, and then the same thing from the top, inch from there. And I have a very classy sign here that says don't cut, because we're not cutting any of the outside cabinets, so not the front, not the back, and not the sides, just the insides is where we're cutting to put the 2x4s. Okay, my lovely hand model here, my husband. Okay, so we're doing all of the cabinets we're marking like 1.5 inches from the top, which is like 1 inch from the inside. So basically, because there's a lip here, so that's not the exact thing, but basically we made a cardboard template that we line up with the top of the cabinet here, so we can real quick trace on both sides. And then it's the same thing on the bottom. Oh yeah, and it's the same thing on the bottom. And this is all of the cabinets, but not the outside. Remember I said don't cut the outside. And then it's a totally different measurement on the inside. So we made a template for that. So basically all of that translates into, what's that little 2x4 piece behind me? I've got it. So that translates into a 2x4 being able to run all the way through. Show the one that is already cut. So, woo! All the way through to the edge. So, okay, so we're gonna actually cut that now. Okay, so our goal is to get, we've turned this on its side, and our goal is to get this nice notched out rectangle. But first we've got to get the curvy thing and then get rid of that. So we're gonna start over here. Like magic. Okay, so the next exciting thing is, so we're on our site over here, and we cut 4 boards that go all the way through the channels we cut. So we've got one up here and one down here, and we're actually gonna have that be 2 thick. And then we are starting to make cuts on the boards for the cross pieces. So we're just putting in 2 of the long ones, and we're gonna go across and put in 2 short ones in each cabinet all the way across. And then we're gonna be attaching. As you can see, we've got the first layer, we've got all the other cut boards just sitting over here. We've got the first layer under each cabinet all the way in, sitting there. And now we're going to attach them because they're not attached. So we're measuring from the front because we're gonna go from the top. So the inside the cabinet, we're gonna drill through here. So anyway, so the plan is, I'll just show the one we've done. Such amazing camera work. So we're not going through all the way because we have 2 boards, 2 layers of boards. So we really wanted to make sure we gripped this board, but not coming through. So you can see we pre-drilled the holes, but we didn't take the screw all the way through, just enough that it's gripped it. You can see I'm pulling it, it's not moving. So that when we put the other 2x4 on here, and we'll drill from the other side, that way it's not in the way. So we're not just being random. He's measuring 2 holes in each board, but we're not going in the corner sections because that's where we're gonna put our wheels. So we don't wanna have a bunch of hardware clanking around and getting each other. So here we go. Drilling all the way through. Anyway, so one here, 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 and then that was the whole square thing. So anyway, that on every single cabinet is what we're doing. So between the cabinets, there's a gap, and you're not gonna see this. This is below where the wheels are gonna be. So we are putting in shims, and then we're drilling a hole so we don't risk splitting this particle board shelving unit, because the bottom of the cabinets is just all particle board. And then putting in 1-inch screws. Makes it just feel so much sturdier. We'll do this on top too. So we're doing, where every cabinet joins, we're doing up here, 3 in the middle, and then 1 on the bottom of the 2x4. So 5 total here, and then 5 total there. We did the same thing along the top, in between where the 3 cabinets, so main cabinet in the middle, so where the side one attaches, we did 3 shims along the top, and then 3 shims along that one. So just coming in from the side with those 1-inch nail, or screws, whatever they are. All right, it's time to talk about casters. So I got these on Amazon, woo! And they're really heavy duty looking. And so we went in 1.5 inches from the side and traced around it. Approximately. It wasn't a perfect job. It was heavy. It still is heavy. Anyway, and we're gonna do this in every corner of each cabinet, or they're gonna have 4, so probably overkill, but you know, I like that. So we're gonna treat this like the side, and so we'll go 1.5 inches in from there, and they will face in. The locks will face in so they can move as much as possible. So let's make it happen. And we're using 3-inch screws because we're going through, you know, we've got these 2x4s, and if we measured right, that won't come out the cabinet on top. So these casters have a really wide hole in them, which the screw would go straight through. See, there's the screw, and it goes straight through. So we got washers that will sit right on top of there, and then that'll be awesome. We'll cover it up, and you won't see it because it's kind of ugly, but it's under the cabinet. We each have our own package of screws because we just keep opening things. It's so messy in here. Maybe we just don't want to share. Even the one is holding it. That's awesome. Yeah. You get the idea. We're going to do that to all the wheels. Okay, we had to do a slight modification because there wasn't room for the 2 wheels that we're gonna go in the cabinet on the right. So he wins. He wanted to treat it all like one big cabinet in his mind and just have the 4 wheels, and I wanted more. So now we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 wheels instead of 12, but they weren't able to turn because this is only a 15-inch cabinet. So sadness, but it's still super, super sturdy. And really the distance between those wheels is less than the distance between those wheels. So it's all good.
Got it?
So we put a couple more shims in the back and on the top of the back as well. So that's super secure. And then we notice sadness. I'm gonna point out the sadness.
Yeah, so we noticed that the wheels don't all touch the floor. Some of them are just barely off of the floor. So what I did, you know, first was I just took a piece of cardboard and like slid it under, and it's like, oh, that goes right under. So that was kind of like a quick way to just tell beyond just looking, like, okay, these need some work. But basically determined that like half of the wheels are not fully touching the floor. So what we're gonna do to fix this is we're going to, so these wheels are held on by washers. So we are going to take the wheels back off and we're going to add more washers on there to extend the wheel so that it touches.
But under the wheel, it'll be like under the metal bracket part of the wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that's what we're gonna have to do. I kind of made like a map to see, okay, here's the front, here's the back, here are the ones that need and how many washers they need.
Yeah, you took the actual washers and stacked them under until it was flush.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to flip this thing over and take some wheels off and put some more washers on. So that's gonna be fun. Woohoo!
So now we're cutting the side panels. Got it all measured up using a circular saw. It's night, don't recommend that. But if you do, headlights and house lights are a good combo. Woohoo! So, measured from the side. So there's like a lip from the front of the cabinet and there's a bit of a lip where we put the back panel on. I don't remember if I talked about the back panel. So just measured all the length of the cabinets and we did liquid nails, and if you look really closely, we put some paneling nails in just strategic places where it wouldn't show if it's split because it's so narrow. So anyway, I've got a few of those along the bottom and along the side. So over here, these were a bit trickier because there's a notch on the bottom, but let's see if I can do this with one hand. Ooh, that was impressive with one hand. Anyway, so that's all lined up, flush with that, and a little bit of a gap here because we have corner pieces to put on there. So I'm gonna do the same stuff on the side, but on the side, the paneling nails just won't work because it's too narrow. So we have some self-drilling like 1/2-inch screws that we're gonna try. So just a regular caulking gun, liquid nails, and just making sure all of the edges, it's hard when you're holding a camera, like literally watching through the camera. And then we were doing some fun squiggles because, you know, everyone's always doing fun squiggles with liquid nails. So we did that. And then just really making sure all the sides get stuff. And then I'll do a bit in the middle too. Oh, I think it ran out again. So this project is taking 3 of these. I'm about to put in the 3rd one. Okay, had to get another thing of the liquid nails. And then being real careful on the side here as I line it up. And then it's a real quick push. I'm feeling with my fingers to make sure that the bottom is lined up. That's the most important. And then I'm gonna put the clamps on. Of course, they have moved. No, it's slipping. Yep, I had to get help. It's too hard. Okay, here, I'll hold it there if you turn. So definitely don't be filming a video while you're trying to do this. That's really dumb of us. So it's a very narrow area that we can put these in where it's like the 2 sides of the cabinet jut up together. On the front here, we're thinking about getting some shorter nails. These are like 1.5 inches and we just don't want to see them poking through on the inside. Anyway, so I wish I had more clamps. I would put them along the side here if we had more clamps. I'm just kind of holding it right now, trying to set the glue, but I will not stay here as long as that probably requires. But isn't that pretty? And it'll all be painted white, and we'll do the same thing on the other side, and we'll put some nails down here because even if it pokes through, you wouldn't see them because it's down where the wheels are, but this is where the corners are, seems to be fine. But I just don't want to risk marring the pretty front of the cabinet, so I think we've got to have shorter nails. So very exciting. Since it's past store hours, we had a broken cabinet that fell apart in our move, and we had 3/4 screws holding in like the cardboard backing. So they're perfect. They're the exact length to go through the paneling and the cabinet without coming through the side. Yay! And nothing coming through the side. That's the best. Anyway, so we're gonna go at least one here and then one down here, and then we'll do the same thing along the top. We'll put in a couple. Okay, it's the finishing fun here.
35 inches.
Okay, and then I got this really cute, it's like a corner piece, so it helps hide all number of sins. And we're doing the rough edge on top because that's where we've done all of our rough edges, and the smooth edge on the bottom, but that's what it will be like. And we'll just run in a thick-ish bead of the liquid nails. Ooh, that was too much there. That might ooze out. Okay, so I've got the rough edge on top, smooth edge on bottom, just pushing it in place. And that might be enough in all honesty, but our kids are super rough, so we're not messing around. We're also putting some paneling nails in. Okay, just using some wood putty, and I'm going in, if you can see, we didn't have the most perfect of cuts as we were working in the dark. Okay, anyway, so I'm filling in, and you know, I considered doing screw heads and stuff, but I'm gonna have so many coats of paint on here, I just don't think I care. So they're gonna be little bumps, because that was our free thing, so that is the cost of the free. So anyway, this stuff's really thick. I'm just pushing it in and then scraping it off. So pushing it in. And it's really fun because of all these beveled edges. It's bumpy. Get the concept. Gonna go all the way up. Then I'm just gonna let this dry, but it looks like a perfect seam to me. I had a tendency to pool up in here and I had to scrape those out. Yeah, all the way down. I even did, the board was a little short here, so I built that up. Just using a paintbrush and doing a coat of kills over everything. So if you look at the side here, I've done one prime, and I've decided to go along with a bead of caulking because it's just, okay, so I've got some paper towel, and I'm just gonna go along the side. For another pass, we'll see. And then I don't ever want to touch this stuff. If you read the back of this thing, it's like cancer, toxic sludge. So I've just got some paper towel and I'm pushing towards the crease and I'm working stuff in there. Getting a little bit more right there, so. Most importantly, not touching it. You can see that just totally fills that up. And then I got a little bit extra in some spots, so I'm gonna go mush that over and then try again. Yeah, huge difference. So there's no more line, so I'm gonna do that on anywhere where this is here and I don't like it. So I attempted to start sanding with a 220, which is very fine. That was dumb. I would have been here the rest of my life trying to knock off the finish. So then I went drastic and I got an 80. I also got a 150, but I ended up using the 80 and it just flew off, and then I can smooth it up with that. So my light was fading, so along the edges I still have a lot of stuff to do, but I'm also gonna do under, which is the bottom, because I want to be able to paint that white. I'm not gonna do the countertop effect on it, but this is not attached, so it's just sitting here. Anyway, so just wanted to show the difference between the sanded and the not sanded. And I still have some stuff, but I had no light and I had to give up. So anyway, I'm gonna flip it over, sand the other side off, and finish knocking off what I missed on the sides. And then I will have that all smoothed up with a finer one if I feel it needs it. Although it's, even with the rough one, I don't know, after multiple layers of paint, if I will bother with that. Okay, I have put on 3 coats of Kills. This is the bottom of the island. So I just painted it, set on the thing even though we're not done, so I could be able to turn it over. So 3 coats of Kills. Okay, I'm coming in here with the second coat. You can still see a bunch of wood in here. And then the bottom took at least 3 coats. It was 3 coats, so. And I care a lot more about the top, so I think I'll go with 4. Alright, so I have my 2 coats of Kills, and for my 3rd coat, I'm coming in with this Glidden and Satin. And I have it tinted to Windswept, which is what's on my walls. So I am mixing up, I'm gonna have a plain white, which is the white color. These are actually just liners, but I was using a paper bowl with a plastic bag in it. So this just supposed to be a liner is a massive upgrade for me. So anyway, I don't actually own the paint can that these are supposed to fit in, the little red things. So this thing looks blue to me, but I'm going out on a limb because I read reviews that it starts off looking blue and then it dries black. So I did a sample here. And this is the more fresh one, and it still looks blue, but the other one that's older does look black. So hopefully that doesn't end up with me crying in regret. So I'm gonna have just some plain black. I'm getting probably way more than I need of any of these colors, but I'm doing a desk, an island, and a big stretch of countertops, and I can't like repeat colors and like magically create them again. So that is why I'm doing the overkill. So I want to make a darker gray and a lighter gray. This will be my darker gray. I'm gonna leave that for a minute. I might like that. Okay, I think I have distinct enough. That's a dark gray, a light gray, and the black and white. So I've got my dark gray and my sponge and a paper plate. And pick a spot, but just gonna go, no rhyme or reason to it. Don't want it to be too uniform, but I'm gonna go over the whole thing, and that includes the sides. So this is what it looks like. It's dried, the one coat of the dark gray. So now I'm coming in with my different sponge and my solid black color. It looks a little navy and will be in tears if it doesn't dry black. And I'm just trying to hit different spots. Okay, it's drying pretty quickly, probably because of the ceiling fan. And I've got a new sponge and I'm coming in with the light gray, because it's way too much of the dark note going on in here. So I have a tendency to pour too much. All right, so I've got my little puddle here, and then I'm gonna kind of spread it over the area that I'm working on, like a little trench, and then just back and forth, making it thin. I'm going to do several coats of this, because I want these countertops to last years without having to redo them. So on the edges, same thing, just real thin, stream, making sure it's not building up anywhere. And then I walk around after I've done an area, when I think I'm done, and can you see how this is like pooled up here? I have to imagine that that would look bad. Zoom in real close. I have to imagine that would still look bad dried, so I don't want anything with excess liquid. I've got a little bit of hand soap, nothing fancy, and I'm just kind of squeezing it on. Can't like be aggressive with washing this, but every coat that I'm doing, kind of squeezing out. And I have more of these, so if it doesn't make it through the whole process, but it's made it through 2 coats. You have to decide if that's worth it $1 to you or not. And then I'm gonna lay it on my painting blanket to dry and wait another 2 hours. I have done 3 coats of the polyacrylic and I decided to stop because I'm running out of it and I just don't feel like doing it anymore. So I'm just gonna let this dry. I don't know how many days I'm gonna go before I let anyone set anything on this. I have to go research that. So this is the inside of the cabinets, and I did a light sanding with, I think it was like a 200 grit, maybe 220 sandpaper, and really my heart wasn't in it. I didn't do much at all. I probably should have done more because it's like this plastic veneer. And you can see it's like peeling away. I'm doing like a Kills coat, so fingers crossed. I'd say it's gonna take at least 2 coats of primer to get it to stick. But I'm just kind of, you know, losing interest. It's like week 2 here, so week 1 would have sanded that all down to nothing. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. So you can see it's kind of like a patchwork quilt where the paint is pulling away in different sections. So we will see how that winds up. So this is 1 coat of primer dried inside the island cabinet. So that's what it's gonna look like after 2. But even after 2, it's still having areas like up high where it has kind of that holy Swiss cheese looking stuff going on. So I'm thinking it's gonna be 3 coats of primer. So sanding more was probably the better idea, but there's no going back. I'm just going forward. We're finally getting to the fun stuff here. So we're going to attach the brackets to the island. We've already done the one in the middle. So we measured direct center, and the side ones we are just putting flush against there. It came with screws that are just too long or too short. We had both sizes, too long and too short. So what we're gonna do is put 1-inch screws. We're gonna drill holes, mark with a pencil. Just use a little carpenter pencil to mark. And we're marking the small hole, not the large hole that you slide it in on. Chose to do by hand because, you know, we've worked so hard on it by this point. We didn't want to strip a screw out. And we're screwing up just to the point where we'll be able to slide on the bracket. So, as tight as you can get it where you can still slide that on and off. And then another 1-inch screw for right there. And then we will do the same thing for the third bracket on the left. We will line it up with the trim strip. Putting the screws in the top of the bracket. We are using 1/2-inch screws because I am terrified of going through that. And then there's another one back here if we can get the drill to go in there. Fingers crossed on that. So for the cabinet doors, I did a light sanding just to kind of like open up, well, just to smooth out a little, not to open up. And I'm doing the bottom side here. I've got everything up on cans, on plastic, and doing another thin coat. I'll probably only do 2 on the inside because once again I'm to the point where I just want my project to be over. So anyway, doing the cabinet paint. So we got this drill bit extender and it was only what, 10-15 bucks, and it's allowing us to get into these awful to reach spaces, including inside the cabinet. Great. So inside the cabinet, once again, we're using this awesome drill bit extender. And if you see there are these plastic pieces up in the corner, I still need to do another coat in here. So don't judge the paint job. And we're doing, is it 1/2 inch or 3/4? I forgot already.
1 inch.
1-inch screws into these plastic things. There you go. It's that exciting. So each cabinet has 4 of those. And then we get to put on doors. This has been amazing. I did some caulk like up in the edges there, and you know, we didn't have the most perfect cuts obviously, so definitely worth doing that where things don't perfectly line up. And then I just take a little bit of paper towel and run my finger across it. Go around the corner you get the idea. It's like it was always together. And then I'll do a little touch-up paint on that.
Okay, so let's talk about the hardware very briefly. This is what we attached to the cabinets, the drawers, and everything. Unfortunately, we didn't film the step of me installing these, so I'm just going to tell you real quick how we did these. So I made a template out of basically a mac and cheese package. I cut out a piece that was the right size and had this centered on there, and then I traced holes through it where these bolts would go, so that whenever I laid the template on top of the drawer, it would be centered, and I'd be able to do just nice clean drills. So just be very, very careful whatever you do, whatever system you come up with, because once you put those holes in, there's no going back, and it would drive you insane if this thing's crooked. So anyway. But that's how we did that to get these centered, and you just drill your holes in. Make sure you've got a bit that's the right size for these, and then once you get it lined up with the hole, these screw in on the other side, and it's a Phillips head bit. So anyway, just take your time, be very careful. I highly recommend making some sort of template to make sure that everything is lined up just right. Okay, so as you're looking at the links that we included in the description for the products that we use, like the hardware, the paint, all of that stuff, you might be surprised by just the sheer quantity of it. Like, it just seems like overkill. But keep in mind, we use this for our entire kitchen. So this is the hardware that we put on all the cabinets, all the drawers in our kitchen. This is the color scheme, the paint that we use for all of our countertops and cabinets. So it actually was a really good deal when you factor all that in, that this was enough to do our entire kitchen.
And if you're trying to coordinate your kitchen, like if you look behind at the desk, I'm not showing my messy kitchen behind me that a child is literally cleaning right now. We just had dinner. Anyway, but I did all of the countertops with the paint that you saw me mix up. So anyway, just keeping that in mind. But this was a great project. I don't know if I would do it again because we only need one island, but anything you want to say, like things that we've noticed like in the 8 months of having it, or?
Yeah, so we mentioned this before, but we wouldn't recommend painting the inside. Okay, like
especially the trash area.
This is the cabinet that our trash can goes in, and you see a lot of places where paint's been scraped off and it's got some stains. It's kind of gross. So it might not be worth the effort to do that because it doesn't really look that great.
And it would have been worth on the cabinet door itself doing that third or fourth coat. I was just so tired of it. But I will say, we are rough on things, and there are. Oh, I'm tripping on a kitty cat. Hi, kitty cat. There are spots that have been scuffed and whatever, and if those wouldn't come off with a magic eraser, we could always just do touch-up paint. So yeah, and it's very sturdy. Yeah. And yeah, we have working on baby number 5 here in a month. So yeah, we are not gentle on things, and it has held up well. Right, Katniss? Okay. Sing your song. La la la. La la la. Uh-huh. Why are you squinting your eyes shut? La la la. Eat your nanas. Bye-byes.